Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the iTunes Fanboy Podcast. As always, I am Teddy from the iTunes Fanboy, joined by Alpha DeWolf from the
Alpha
Random
DeWolf from the
Alpha.
Random Alpha.
And unfortunately, Tabby Cat 406 or Tabby Pears couldn't, whatever you know him as, he could not join us today because his internet's out right now and it won't be coming back until late at night when we're not able to record anymore. So, that's why he's not here with us today. However, we have a whole
When's
lot.
the last time we've done full house recording?
We haven't done Full House recording since, I think, in a couple of months now.
It feels like a month or something, actually.
Well, there was that one week when we were all unavailable.
Yeah, that did not help. Oh, braces are so fun.
And then there was another week when I believe it was both you and Tabby that were unavailable. I could do a solo podcast by my...
I've tried solo podcasts before. It doesn't go well.
Yeah, it doesn't go well since you just wind up rambling on and on and on and on and on. And it just winds up not being full on since you're only getting one perspective. The only major podcast that I know of that's solo is the This Does Not Compute podcast.
I don't know how people do solo podcasts. To me, they're just not interesting.
Well, we don't have to worry about that since this is not a solo podcast. However, the first topic that, yes, this been this long since we recorded that the yellow iPhone 14 has released since we last recorded.
Looks pretty. I wouldn't buy it.
It looks good too, but I wouldn't buy. But I probably won't be buying it because I already have an iPhone 14 Pro.
Mm-hmm. And it still does not compete with my XS Max.
Oh, gee.
Yeah, there's a lot to go in with that topic because I've basically been using it for about a month now. Put my SIM card back into it for a month.
Oh my gosh, you're never... I still don't understand the switch back, though. I did, though, one thing I wanted to add is that the main differences in camera quality, I was just assuming that there would be a visible difference in camera quality between the iPhone XS Max and 13 Pro Max. But there isn't. I do notice the difference between the XS Max and the 14 Pro. Because the 14 Pro changed the way it does color processing.
Yeah, to me that would make sense if you change color processing, but I could just tell editing through the footage which camera shot what. And I couldn't tell unless I was holding the other phone in my hand, so that way, if that phone's in my hand, then I can't be recording with that. I've got to be using the other phone for recording and such.
Yeah, I have to kind of
I genuinely couldn't tell.
I have to have notes. I actually, when I was doing a camera comparison test in my iPhone SE3 review, I actually had to scrap a lot of it since I couldn't tell which phone was which. I could tell pretty big differences, but I couldn't be sure which phone took what. So I had to cut out part of that video, which was...
Well, I've recently recorded a video talking about how I refer to them as camera snobs. The kindest way I can put it, to be honest. I made a video, hasn't uploaded, actually I haven't even edited yet, but I'm making a video based on my rant against camera snobs and how they drive me absolutely nuts. Because they insist that X phone is better at taking pictures because it manages the sharpness and the contrast and saturation and temperature. Guys, what do we use our smartphones for?
I mean, taking photos and videos is one thing.
Well, here's another thing too. If you're that big of a snob on, the level of sharpness or contrast or saturation, those type of details, then you're probably just taking those photos and putting them into Lightroom anyways. So
That's true.
why does this matter?
He, a point that Elias from Meowtech brought up when he bought his first iPhone 14 Pro is that he returned it because he got so furious at how big the camera bump on it was, and he's like, the camera bump doesn't need to be this big. The 12 series and even the 11 series have far smaller camera bumps, and yet take photos that are just as good. Now, to be fair, the
Yeah,
14 Pro's photos are better in my opinion, except in darkness, because I'm not fond of the way they treat screens in that case, but sometimes I'm more fond of the color contrast. The new color processing, though, I guess it makes more sense for when you're not shooting devices and you're shooting stuff with devices, and instead you're out in the real world. So that's how I can get by with the 14 Pro's camera, especially because I don't take a lot of close-up shots.
yeah, for me, I've actually noticed with my 13 Pro Max even, the way I typically hold my phone, my finger is actually up against the camera bump. It is resting on top of the camera lens. That's how I typically hold the 13 Pro Max. And that's like the biggest phone out there. Well, biggest iPhone out there. So, yeah, now that I'm back on my Tennis Max, I don't rest my hand on the bump. But, like, here's for example, this is a much smaller bump. I can't show the 13 Pro Max at the moment because that's my camera for continuity camera. But this is the way I typically hold my phone, just like this. With the 13 Pro Max, it'll actually cut into my finger.
I've gotten used to especially because I have a really bulky case on to the point where the camera bump doesn't show very much. I don't actually, I do think it might cut into the camera bump a little bit, but I just ignore it since most of the time. I know I hate this statement, but you don't look at the back of your phone often, so it's kind of hard to tell where your fingers are.
Well, for me, I found it really distracting and really annoying, actually. That, and I would think the two of us would be the oddballs that do look at the backs of our phones because, well, I'm looking at the back of the 13 Pro Max right now, and I absolutely hate looking at the back of it.
I'm looking at the back of my 14 Pro right now, too. Though the only time.
Worst camera design ever.
I agree.
Why did they do it?
I don't know. The only reason why this is actually, only when I record my podcast do I look at the back of my iPhone 14 Pro, because otherwise I'm usually recording with the front camera where I'm looking at it directly, or I'm recording with the
Yeah, I
back
suppose the selfie cam is a 4K at 60 camera.
What?
I suppose the selfie cam is a 4K 60 camera on the 14, as well as when did they come out with that? The 11s? Yeah, the 11s came out with the 4K 60 selfie cams.
Yeah, that was, I noticed that difference when I started recording my front camera videos with my iPhone 11 Pro Max. As the reason why I didn't do a whole lot of tech explanations with my iPhone 8 Plus, back when my iPhone 8 Plus was my main phone, was because the front camera on it is literal garbage.
Yeah,
For shooting video.
Now, if you want to talk about a camera difference that even I can notice, I used to record vlogs on this. I will actually still record vlogs on the 13 Pro Max now. And it's because the way I do it, I actually use the selfie cam for that, so that way I can look at myself and such. But when I do professional videos, no, I always use the rear camera. But there is a huge difference between the quality of the selfie cam on this and my 13 Pro Max. That is the one thing I definitely notice. But in terms of rear cameras, they're basically the same to me.
Yeah, again, maybe that's why you should have stuck with your 13 Pro Max.
I treat it more as a work phone. So I still kind of use it every day per se, but I don't use it as like the phone I take phone calls on, the phone I listen to my media on. I just primarily use it for the reason why I bought it in the first place, which was the cameras for YouTube and such. But
Well, I
outside
mean,
of
you're
YouTube,
still getting
like,
good use
I
out
don't
of.
mind recording videos for this. I don't mind recording little moments, personal moments that are not supposed to go on YouTube. Don't mind recording them on this. Don't mind taking pictures with this. It's just for the people who care about that type of stuff on YouTube. That's what I'm still using it for. As well as at my day job, because we happen to have screwed up something that involves an app and an account, and because of that, it's now stuck on the 13 Pro Max and not my XS Max, so I still technically have to use it every day, but for the most part, I just use it for recording YouTube videos and logging into Job Boss. Other than that, XS Max does everything else.
All right. Well, I have an iPhone. So the next topic for our podcast is that Apple's working on under-display Touch ID and heart rate scanner for 20 iPhones to be released between 2026 and 2027. I'll be under display.
Well, under display fingerprint scanner? Yeah, I'll pass.
Me too. I don't really care much about. I personally prefer Face ID, and even then, I don't even protect my phone for passcode, so I don't really care.
I don't
that
understand
really
why people. Yeah, I don't understand why people insist that, picking up your phone and touching it is clearly the better way to unlock your phone.
No,
when,
you have to
at
look.
least with Face ID,
At least
all we have to do is glance.
And most people are looking at their phones anyway. And now you can't technically argue the mask thing anymore, since there's no unless you're a doctor or nurse or a construction worker, because there's no pandemic. And clearly clearly those people didn't care too much about Face ID not working too well.
Mask ID is a thing too.
Mask either, because before the pandemic even, yeah, the heart rate scanner, however, I'm very excited for, even though I kind of wish that they could just put one on the back now or on the side, because that'd be a pretty useful feature.
I have a smartphone with a heart rate scanner.
That's why I said they should just put one. It's not hard to put a heart rate scanner.
And you want to know something funny?
Want
to know something real funny?
Yeah.
They don't do that anymore. What?
And I believe my sense. And let me go to my collection. Let me go to my collection drawer.
They stopped doing it after the S10. I don't even think the Note series got it.
My Galaxy Note 4 has it.
Yeah, they stopped including it after the S10. S10, I believe, was the last phone to actually get that. Now they don't even bother doing it anymore. Why? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's because we have to literally copy everything Apple is doing, and we can't be unique anymore.
And Samsung will only bring it back if Apple brings it to the iPhone for the first time. Because they're Samsung. They must copy Apple.
One of the most annoying phone companies out there, because they used to be great. They were actually great compared to the rest of the Android market. And they did such a good job at remaining great while everyone else became copycats. And then they themselves became copycats. I guess that goes with Marquez's line of, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Samsung has definitely become the villain.
They sure have. And now I'm seeing more and more former Android users switch to iPhones.
Yeah.
I wonder
why. My sister's been debating it, actually.
What?
My sister's been debating switching to iPhone.
I'm so surprised. I'm not surprised at all.
It's sad that pretty much the only good option out there is this, and the only reason why I say it's the only good option is because everyone else is going to copycat or play copycat. But of course, when they do that, they don't make a better product, they make a worse product because they can't make the same great product. Otherwise, hello, legal system.
Yeah, unless they're a
So,
Chinese company, because then they don't recognize Western copyright. But in the US, it's a little hard for a Chinese company to sell phones.
yeah, they don't do well here at all. Especially considering how bad their software implementation is. It's so bad.
Yeah, and for obvious controversial concerns that I'm not going to get into right now.
We all know what happened to Huawei.
Yeah.
And yet, funny enough, we use a Huawei modem.
All right, so the next topic is that iPhone 15 glass panels leaked with thinner bezels than any other smartphone.
That's exciting. I hear that they're going to do something similar to what the Apple Watch Series 7 did with their glass panels.
Yep. Or that was originally rumored, but now they're not going to be curved. They're not going to give the illusion of curved curves.
What? That was another thing I missed about Samsung phones. I love the edge panels. It's just what everybody hate about them was you'd easily accidentally set off the display when you didn't mean to. But the way Apple did it with the Apple Watch, it's perfect. So do the same on the iPhone.
I don't know. I don't know why Apple won't do that. But the next topic is that the iPhone 15 Pro and the 15 Pro Max are going to have a capacitive mute button instead of a mute switch alongside one single volume button.
My one question is how would cases work? Because last I checked, solid objects typically don't do a great job at pushing solid state buttons.
They're going to have to leave a hole open for the buttons. But unfortunately, this does also mean that. Hang on, let me go grab something. This does mean that something that we've seen since the very beginning of the iPhone is going to be going away.
That would really bug me.
I don't use the mute switch, so it wouldn't bug me, but again, I'm not upgrading
I
to the
use it all
iPhone
the time.
15.
Yeah, I use the mute switch all the time.
So Apple's starting to copy Android. Maybe Apple's starting to copy Android back. For them copying Apple. So they're doing something different. And the volume button will be sort of like this on the iPhone 2G, where it'll obviously just be one, but it'll be kind of like this.
I had an interesting idea with what they could do with a capacitive volume rocker.
Maybe we could set it to trigger different things.
Well, the idea I had for changing the volume, at least, instead of, oops, I accidentally pressed it, therefore the volume's going to turn up because, well, it's a capacitive button, you don't know exactly where it is anymore. How about perform a sliding gesture?
That, that's genius.
That I would personally like.
So, you can do it with the control center, but I would personally like that too.
But other than that, I have no idea how cases are going to take that into account.
They'll probably,
And they're probably going to become a lot thinner and a lot less protective.
well, maybe just around the areas of the buttons. Maybe I'll have to make the whole case. Then,
Well, I guess we'll see what happens.
well, the next new big bit of news, which I actually wish Tabby was here for, is that the iPhone 15 Pro is going to have an improved LiDAR sensor.
Remind me why it needs it again?
Well, the LiDAR sensor currently is pretty useless on the iPhone.
So why would a better LiDAR sensor make it any more useful?
Well, you know I can make 3D maps of rooms with LiDAR sensor.
Yeah, well,
Well,
there's a
maybe
reason why at my job we never use the Measure app on my iPhone for measuring things.
maybe you can make a better map of the room supposedly. I'm still not too
It's good
confident.
for it's fine for rough estimates, but if you're actually trying to get into accurate measurements, um, not even a LiDAR scanner helps.
Yeah, let's hope that the LiDAR
So,
sensor can improve. Okay, we'll make things
yeah.
better.
Because, in my opinion, it's really not needed at the moment, so just get rid of it and clean up the camera bump.
I
For a company
agree.
that focuses so much on design, why do they still allow such a mess to be on the back of their best selling product?
Maybe because not enough people complain about it.
Let me guess, there's another rumor speculating that the camera bump's gonna increase in size yet again.
Oh yes, that's. Oh yes, it's. Yes, yes. There's been leaked CAD files that have confirmed that. I believe we
How can
discussed
they
on the
keep
last
letting it
episode.
get so big?
I don't know.
And here's something I'm confused about. Like, let's talk design here for a quick second. The majority of us are right handed, right?
Yes.
So typically, the way we'd hold our phones is, well, typically along this edge, the right side of the phone. Why are we making it more difficult to hold on to the side of the phone by just increasing the sheer size of the camera bump?
I don't
Next thing you
know.
know, we're basically going to have to start being okay with covering and smearing all the cameras.
Yeah, like this is on an iPhone that I'll explain later, but this right here, this is how I'm holding it with a. It has a pretty small camera bump. Luckily, this is the one thing that Apple
Yeah.
hasn't upgraded.
I'm really, I really miss that actually.
Yeah, and if we go back to the days of no camera bump, which on this phone, which again is going to be saved for a later day, later on, again, look at how I can hold this thing without cutting into a camera bump. Even though this is actually quite
And we can
uncomfortable.
hold it in so many different ways and get a great grip on the device. And yet, now I'm struggling to hold my 13 Pro Max, not because of its sheer size, but because of the camera bump's sheer size. And yet, your phone has an even bigger camera bump.
Yeah, and my phone's even smaller. I don't know. I have such a bulky case on it that I don't notice it, but if I didn't have a bulky case on it, then I'd notice it for sure. And I'd smear all my cameras.
Yeah, Apple, when we say that the camera bump is getting out of hand, we're not being silly or anything. It is actually getting out of hand to the point where it's starting to compromise other aspects of it. And again, what's the primary use of using iPhone cameras? May I remind everyone, including camera snobs?
Just to just to take photos when you need to.
Yep. And if you really cared that much about the nitty gritty details of the photo, you're already importing them into Lightroom and adjusting them anyways. So at this point, Apple, I mean this. Stop increasing the camera bump size. It's actually starting to compromise other functionality of the phone,
Oh my gosh,
including just
yes.
holding it.
I am about done. I'm also done with the iPhone 14 Pro's camera bump. It would be a little better if they made them all put them all to the left instead. But no, they can't do that. But no, apparently they can't do that. It just has to cut out to take up now more than half the phone on the top. And what
Yep.
looks to be, yeah, a third of the phone on the side. Or so, yeah, it takes up over a sixth of the phone now.
Yeah, you've seen for the past how many years I've made YouTube videos. They were all shot on this camera. Do they
Yeah.
look terrible?
No.
I wouldn't think they look terrible, and yet look how huge and monstrous this camera is.
Not very. Still a bit of a big camera bump, but not anything compared to what my 14 Pro is.
Yeah, compared to camera bumps today, holy crap, this thing is tiny. Yeah, this is now tiny in comparison to today's
Even my
camera
iPhone
bumps.
11 Pro Max.
And yet,
Even my iPhone 11 Pro Max camera bump appears tiny compared to my 14 Pros. That's not good, Apple.
yeah. So, yeah, the performance that you're getting out of this is already pretty great, and yet, why are we increasing the size of the camera bump for, like, at this point, we're just reaching diminishing returns. All that really is left to be done is just software tweaking. You don't need hardware upgrades anymore.
Well, maybe except for a 200 megapixel camera, but that I would like, but that's just me. So,
I don't know why I would need that heavy of a resolution.
just to make the photos look good. However, the next topic is actually a good one. A new iMac is on the way with either an M2 or an M3 chip, and it's going to be sometime in later
Yes.
this year.
Oh, finally,
However,
Apple.
there's not going to be an iMac
Remember.
Pro until at least 2024.
That's not good. That is like unacceptable at this point.
That is so unacceptable. I want a professional grade iMac, Apple, or at least I want. Maybe I want one. I wouldn't probably use it, but some people want one, like you. And Tabby
Well,
would
here's
probably
another
like
thing
it
I want to
too.
point out too. Yeah, here's another thing I want to point out too. Apple, what is your most iconic desktop? Like, once people see it, they instantly know what it is.
The iMac.
Mac Mini? Oh, that's the mini desktop that many others make mini desktops. They could be made by anybody. Mac Pro? That's a giant tower that, there's a lot of giant towers out there. I mean, sure, there's the giant Apple logo on it, but say someone covered that up. Anybody could have made that. Anybody. Mac Studio. Again, same thing with the Mac Mini. Cover up the Apple logo. Anyone could have made that. But how about the iMac?
Cover up the Apple logo in any way could have made that. Maybe. Actually not.
You remove the logo from the chin anyway, so
Yes,
and
I
yet
want
we
an Apple
all
logo
still
back
know
on
it's
the
an
chin,
iMac.
Apple. Or no, I want a bezel-less
Yeah,
iMac,
personally,
or
I
I
do
want
too.
an Apple logo back on the front.
Yeah, same here. Keep the white bezels though. I love the white bezels.
No, make black bezels, Apple, or even better, make a choice for white and black bezels.
Oh yeah, that would be perfect actually.
Yeah, that's
Give us
actually
the option
good.
of white bezels at least.
Yeah, just give us
I
an
like
option.
options.
Actually, it would be cool if Apple let us mix and match which color bezels we wanted on our iMac.
Yeah, Apple. The iMac is your most iconic desktop ever. It is the most unmistakable desktop for people to identify, and yet you care how much to Why do you guys act like it's so hard to figure out how to engineer the M3 chip, or even better, M1 Pro or M1 Max, heck, M1 Ultra? Why do you guys act like it's so complicated to engineer that into an iMac when there's so much more space in that compared to even a MacBook?
I think Apple's just lazy.
I hate how they neglect it like this. It's annoying.
Speaking of
The iMac is
neglected
my favorite desktop.
well, speaking of neglected desktops, speak. Let's talk Mac Pro. The next Mac Pro is rumored to be modular, or quote unquote modular.
Hmm. So, if I recall, Mac Studio was considered modular. So, I guess Apple's definition of, if I can guess what Apple's definition of modular is for Mac Pro, that means we are going to have the ability to um, choose our own displays, obviously, upgrade the storage by plugging in external SSDs.
Yes. So the same modularity of any computer.
Yeah. Basically the same modularity as the Trash Can Mac Pro and the Mac Studio.
The Trash Can Mac Pro is even more
That's what it is.
modular. Is even more modular than Apple's definition of modular, since you just have to get inside it,
Okay.
but you can actually make some pretty hefty upgrades to a Trash Can Mac Pro.
All right, well, it's going to be as modular as the Mac Studio then. Oh, I know how they're going to make it modular in the Mac Pro. The SSDs.
That you can
Or
plug
actually
it.
just the chips of NAND flash. Oh my
I don't think
goodness.
Apple's. I think Apple's gonna solder those down.
Well, they didn't do it with the Mac Studio, and yet that's supposedly modular.
That's true. All right, there's this meme on Twitter that I've, that I should that I need to find about this.
You know how you can tell when commenters leave a comment on your video and they didn't actually watch the entire video?
Yes, I absolutely can.
My latest video talking about the AirPods Pro incident, I kept getting comments saying, maybe it's your ears.
Oh my,
You need to clean your
I
ears and
know.
such. Why are you blaming Apple for your lacking of cleaning the stuff out? I mentioned it in the video, guys. Did you not watch the video or something? Yeah, one commenter is like, wait, there's vents in it? After I mentioned, yeah, there's vents in the whole AirPods Pro design to accommodate the microphones and such. And it's like, and this is after a whole discussion on me actually cleaning them and such, and mentioning, yeah, I do even do my best to clean out the vents. And then he's like, wait, there's vents on that thing?
Yep, there are. And right here showing at least alpha of the meme. This right here is the first meme about it with the modularity after there's rumors for non-upgradable RAM. This is from Luke
Oh
Miani,
my
and then this guy,
goodness.
this other guy named Liam decided to responded with saying getting strong Intel DK prototype Mac Pro vibes, where there's basically
Oh
nothing.
my goodness.
And if anybody knows how a
Yep.
trash can Mac Pro is usually like, then we'll know that that's. If anybody knows how a trash can Mac Pro is, or no, an original cheese gray Mac Pro is like, then you'll know that those things are usually packed.
Yeah.
And in fact, I want one, but the shipping costs on eBay are so high
Yeah, I've got
because
no
they're
use for one.
packed. I just think they're cool and modular, so And plus, they're the oldest Macs that you can mod to have USB-C on. The superior, aka the
Ooh, that'd be
superior
nice.
port. So you could have a
Well,
Mac
the
from
only thing that the only reason why I would get a tower is just to actually turn it into a little server and such, but I've got no budget for a server at the moment. All I've got is a budget to
do nothing except your basic
basically
All right.
basically only a budget to make sure my car is still functioning.
Well, right now I'm saving up for my next big sort of purchase, which will be a fairly decent second watch that I can wear to school, because my Casio watch is so uncomfortable and the band on it doesn't even like my wrist half the time, because the class
So
on
a
it
different
keeps
watch.
going back because I can't wear my
I'm
Apple
still
Watch to
throwing
school.
my recommendation of a Sterling watch.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at Sterling watches. I'm also looking
They
at their
are
fairly cheap
amazing
citizen
watches.
watches, though. My dad has a few old watches that I'd like that he might give me, and my grandmother also has my grandfather's old watches. But I've already gotten 3 old watches from my dad. Speaking of, these are all early 2000s.
I still have to find my Sterling. I cannot find that thing.
These are all early 2000s watches, and this one is the least interesting of them all. This is a Progue from 2000. This one isn't going to be my main watch, but none of these bands fit me right now, so I can't wear them. And this needs a new battery anyway. But I also got these 2 watches, which are a lot more interesting, because take a look at the brand logo. Take a look at the brand. Don't know how well you can see that.
I can't really tell because they're fuzzy on my end, but I'm guessing they're both Casio.
No, not Casio.
I can't tell.
These are
The
fake
image is too
Rolex
fuzzy on my
watches.
end.
These are fake Rolex watches that my dad bought in New York City back in 2000.
Fake Rolex. Too cheap for the real thing.
They're 40. They were $40 a piece, and this one actually still kept the time when I got it back on Wednesday. But now its battery died. And my dad hardly ever touches his watches, so
Good thing I got no watch restrictions.
yeah. Fossil watches look very nice too, but they're just so expensive. Fossil, funny enough, does make some smart watches. And speaking of stuff I got from my dad recently, alongside the 3 watches, I also got a free tech product, which is this old Canon camera right here that has no batteries inside of it, but it's 10 megapixels. Need to get a battery pack for that.
Oh, speaking of cameras,
What's that?
it's my dash cam.
What dash cam is it?
Some cheap $30 on dash cam that you should not buy.
Oh yeah, that one. I saw the video on that, and that's that's a scam.
Yeah. And let me see what happens if I try to plug it in.
The stupidity of it is that what if
It actually turned on this time!
What if a thief breaks into your
So
car?
you decide
then the
to not
footage will
turn on for me for about a month, and now you turn on?
be $30. What can you expect? My dad bought
This thing remained shut off for a month.
My dad bought an on lamp at Walmart for $15. It was on sale. Normally it's $20, and I made a YouTube video about it. back in November 2020, and it caused a power surge in my house.
Ooh.
Don't buy on procs, guys.
Yeah, these things suck. Especially considering that this one crapped out on me like about a month after use. Yeah, if you yeah, quick tip everyone, if you want to get a dash cam for your car, first of all, if you have a Tesla, there's a very high chance you actually have one built in, and so just use that one. But if you don't have a Tesla, then get a GoPro. Don't buy these dash cams that are like $100 off of Amazon or Walmart and such.
My dad just bought
Actually get a GoPro.
My dad bought one of those recently, but hasn't gotten put in his car yet. And now he's getting a new car, so.
What car?
Hey, editor Alpha DeWolf here. Yeah, we said some stuff, and you guys are not allowed to hear this stuff. And this right here is where the stuff used to be. Alright, now that stuff has been said, back to the show.
Not gonna lie, that's a much nicer car than what I got.
Yeah. And I'll be practicing driving in my dad's old car.
Isn't it like a Mercedes or something?
Yep.
Because I know you kept trying to push me to go Mercedes before you decided, oh, maybe electric cars weren't that bad.
I know. I still will get an electric car at some. I still will get another car at some point that's more reliable, since that car has been giving my dad a lot of trouble lately. So I don't really trust it.
Yeah, the thing about Mercedes is they're not easy to fix. And fixing them, the costs of that are not exactly all that friendly.
Yeah. That's probably why my dad
That's
went
funny,
for
because
BMW.
my family had... Yeah. The funny thing is my family actually has a pretty good history with Mercedes.
I guess that's maybe the Mercedes repair stuff is why Dad got. I wonder if my dad actually got sick of Mercedes and decided to go BMW that way, or if he just wanted a BMW.
I hope he doesn't use the heated seats that often.
I believe it's too old for the subscription. Also, it's only in South Korea.
Wait, what?
The subscription is in.
No, it's not only in South Korea.
Oh no! Please don't tell me it's in.
It's here too.
Oh, please don't. Okay, let me look this up really
what I
quickly
hate
because my
about
dad's going to the
BMWs
car
so
dealership.
much.
Does BMW's heated seats? So,
Apple CarPlay is a subscription. They make you subscribe to Apple CarPlay just to have that feature.
oh, my dad's gonna be. Apple CarPlay is now free.
Yeah, it took a lot of backlash for that, but it used to be a subscription.
BMW.
Heated seats, heated steering wheel, I believe. Yeah, they're trying to turn a lot of the hardware features in their cars into subscriptions. I mean,
Okay, it's for new
BMWs
US
are fun to
vehicles.
drive.
Okay, my dad's 2016 is old enough to where you don't have to pay for it.
All right, well, at least he's lucky on that. But I mean, I hear BMWs are fun to drive and such, and they focus more on the sportier dynamics compared to Mercedes. But I mean, the way that they're trying to turn a lot of their features into subscriptions, and I don't know, styling is always a subjective point of view, but holy crap, their latest styling in a lot of their vehicles is a total abomination.
Yeah, and not only that, but when my family last had BMWs, they got my family stranded twice. They got me stranded twice. They could have just been due to their age, but Let's hope this BMW doesn't get any of our family members stranded.
What do you think of their latest styling design?
Trying to get. It's interesting. Not the greatest, but not the worst.
Oh, this is hideous.
It's a little hideous, but not
You're
the
just-
worst I've seen.
That does not work. That kidney grill especially, it does not work. Oh my goodness. BMW, what did you do? What did you do? And they think that everyone likes this. And there's statistics that report only 1/5 of the people that they surveyed actually liked it. And yet they still went forward with it.
I have no. BMW, learn from your customers sometimes.
Yeah, I thought Mercedes was one to screw customers out of like $50,000 markups, but geez, BMW, they got a lot of other worse things going for them. So who do I turn to then? Porsche? Audi?
For Tesla,
Yeah, Tesla's still the best to turn to.
all right. The next topic for our podcast is that the 13-inch MacBook Pro is going to have the M3 chip, and it is going to drop the Pro name, so the MacBook name is going to be coming back. This time it'll only last for 4 or 5 years. But it'll probably last for only 4 or 5 years again, but yeah.
As long as that 13-inch, as long as that 13-inch MacBook Pro drops the Pro name, I'm happy. It does not deserve the Pro name.
Yes, it does.
I don't understand why they call it. It is literally there just to trick people into thinking, oh, this is a professional grade device, when that's what the 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pros are for.
Well, I guess Apple's listening to you.
Not just me. There are so many people who hate that it's called the MacBook Pro. Because it doesn't make sense.
I think Tabby and I are the only people that actually think it makes sense.
I don't understand. And what logic makes it make sense? It's just a marketing stunt.
I've explained that before, why it makes sense, because the fan helps cool it down, but so we can do more professional tasks, though. We're not
Yeah, well, it's only...
We shouldn't get into that.
It's only
argument
gaining
again.
marginal performance. It's only gaining marginal performance over the MacBook Air, and compared to the 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pros, oh, there's still a really big difference between, well, that and the 13-inch MacBook Pro. So, yeah, I don't get why they call it a MacBook Pro, because it seems more like a MacBook Air Plus to me.
Same. But the MacBook name will actually help clear stuff out, I do agree. Alright, the next topic is that Apple Music Classical is going to be launching on March 28th as of when we're recording that, though Apple Music Classical may have released by the time that this podcast episode actually gets out.
I am really confused as of why they are coming out with a separate classical music service. I mean,
I think the only
is classical music not music, or is music, or is the, I don't know, just what's the reasoning behind this?
Finally, somebody else who thinks the Apple Music Classical is stupid.
Is classical music not music? Okay, it's definitely not pop music or rock music or country music, but it's still music. So why does it deserve its own separate app and subscription service?
When classical music isn't even that popular to begin with.
Discombobulation at its finest. Jeez. Something tells me the reason why they're doing this is just to appease shareholders and saying, oh, we're making more money, we're topping our profit records, which, okay, I'm sure there are some people who are willing to do it, but there is no logic in any of these decisions.
Not only that, but I'm not entirely positive that that's even legal for Apple to do that without getting into antitrust lawsuits, because technically owning two music services like that might be considered, it could potentially be considered a monopolistic behavior if they don't take classical music off of regular Apple Music. But then what if people want to listen to both classical music and other music?
I need to do a test. Well, what do you know? I did a search for classical music within the Apple Music app, and, well, I'm getting classical music.
Yeah, and my mom actually has bought some classical music on iTunes in the past.
I am so confused as of why they want to do this. I don't get it. There's classical music radio stations. Apple Music themselves even has a classical radio station. Like, let me see. Radio. Come on, internet, do your job. Stop sucking so much. Music hits, music country. Recently played. Do I have to search it or something? I never visit the radio app, so top stations. Oh! Look at this! Apple, in the radio tab on Apple Music, classical station. Someone tell me why we need a separate app?
Beats me. However, the next topic is actually a pretty cool one. There is now going to be limited iMessage support in Microsoft's Windows 11 Phone Link app, meaning that now we're going to finally be getting iMessage on another platform, but unfortunately it's one that sucks. And it's only because of Phone Link. So it's technically all Microsoft's app. And we know that Microsoft can't do anything, so it doesn't mean a whole lot, but it means something that those people who wanted.
Oh, Microsoft can do stuff. They just can't do things right.
Not being on non-Apple devices, they can finally stop complaining.
I don't know what it's going to solve for them, but okay. Yeah. Windows 11 drives me nuts, because guess what happened at work today?
What?
Another random restart.
Let me guess, it was for an update. Oh my. Maybe it was for the iMessage support. But I don't know why I don't know why Microsoft doesn't realize that. Oh yeah. We don't need Windows, that nobody texts on their Windows computer.
I don't know how long it's going to take for them to realize that this operating system actually doesn't work.
Microsoft will never realize that. I mean, it was based off of a clone of a legit operating system.
Yeah, I mean, you've even seen my tweets on top of their ads, the comments. They're like, oh, which of these toy box features is the best? Why is reliability and stability not in there? Oh, I know why.
Yeah, it's because there's no such thing.
Microsoft.
Last spring, didn't Didn't Microsoft get caught? Didn't Microsoft use an iMac in their photos when they suggested clean spring cleaning?
And we experienced a little connection issue, so, okay, connection issue resolved. Back to the show.
When was this?
Last spring.
Which iMac were they displaying?
The 2021.
Yeah, okay, that don't make sense.
They were showing a green
That's
one when they were suggesting some spring cleaning tips. I know a good spring cleaning.
Whoops.
They were suggesting a good spring cleaning tip. Ditch Windows and get
Yeah,
an
let's
Mac.
clean this operating system out of this. Let's clean this operating system out of this drive here. It's so messy and so clunky.
Let's get a Mac
do some spring
instead.
cleaning. All right.
Let's then anyway.
Oh my goodness. Oh, are they idiots?
Idiots is an understatement.
Oh,
Alright, speaking of idiots, we have to talk about the metaverse now, because you want to guess what happened?
oh no, do I even want to?
Yes, the metaverse was indefinitely shelved by Meta, and the team was replaced by working on a ChatGPT competitor called Llama.
What?
Yep, that's what Meta's doing.
I hate that company so much.
So they effectively admitted
Honestly,
that
I honestly even hate Chat GPT or whatever it is.
I like ChatGPT, though that's me.
Hey, editor Alpha DeWolf here. Yeah, we said some stuff, and you guys are not allowed to hear this stuff. And this right here is where the stuff used to be. Alright, now that stuff has been said, back to the show.
I'm probably just gonna stop talking before we get canceled.
Well, it's okay if we get canceled, but I understand. I hear what you're saying. I watched Cold Fusion's video about that.
Yeah, it is really disturbing on its personality.
I like ChatGPT
So-
because it's a good internet. Because it's good to get information on the internet, and because I honestly, except for political stuff, then I just look that up on my own. Though it's easier just to, or on Twitter, but it's better than Bing, the new Bing AI, which is going to suck because it's from Microsoft.
I just hope it doesn't replace my job.
No, ChatGPT cannot replace your job. It's not that smart.
Programming machines?
It can do that, but they like the way you do it by hand anyway, so...
Yeah, true.
Besides, they don't even like technology.
Can't believe what my boss told me about that.
Yep, so you're gonna basically have a nice... But besides, you won't have... Besides, you can get a job. Maybe they'll promote you or something. If that were to happen.
Yeah, here's what we're referring to, by the way. I made a vlog talking about how I wanted to move to North Carolina, and in part of that, I'm talking about finances necessary, and I brought up my job, and one of my values of, well, what I work as. I work as a machine operator, but not only am I just operating machines like pushing buttons, swapping in and out parts, I also program the machines too. And a unique thing about me that I discovered compared to everyone else who has a similar position I have, they don't know how to program. What they do instead is the CAD jockeys, they use a software called CAM, and that generates the program. I'm unique because I do it all by hand.
Well, those are the
I
people that
type
would
every
likely
single
use.
character.
Those are the kinds of people that should be replaced by ChatGPT.
Well, at least the cam software is what would actually be replaced by ChatGPT, though it still needs something to operate ChatGPT so that way it knows, okay, what am I programming? What do I need the machine to do and such? But yeah,
Yeah, but they could
I
still
could see it
reduce their
potentially replacing
people.
cam software. But yeah, that's a unique thing about me. I program everything by hand.
All right, the next big topic that we need to talk about on the podcast is Samsung again, but this time they got caught doing something.
Oh, is this the moon thing?
Yep.
This is why I brought up that whole thing in my video. Jeez. This is why I made the whole camera snob video in the first place.
Yep, Samsung got caught faking moon photos. So the cameras.
Apparently, it's controversial.
So Samsung cameras aren't even that good anyway. I wonder why it's controversial. Maybe because Samsung lied to people.
Well, in aspects of when it comes to taking pictures with smartphone cameras, hardware isn't the only thing that's actually going into making the picture itself. It's also a lot of software and AI algorithms and such. So, in a sense, they technically didn't false advertise, but they didn't. What people are mad about is they didn't explain the process of how it actually works.
Yeah, but they are making it seem a little bit high quality.
I'm impressed with what happened in Mr. Who's the Boss's test when I believe he took a moon photo and then basically put a PNG image of, I don't remember if it was himself or Rick Astley, but he basically put an image of someone on the moon, and when he took a picture of it using moon mode on the Samsung camera, it actually thought that that image that he put on there was a crater and turned it into a crater on the moon.
That's fishy. You should know. People should know that Samsung phones can't actually capture craters.
Yeah, I have no clue how they did that, but it's kind of interesting. Yeah, there's a reason why my sister is homeschooled, for example. There's a reason why all the essays are done with pen and paper.
I have to type. all my essays in school, just because number one, I prefer typing, and number two, school ChatGPT is blocked on our school servers anyway. But when it comes
Out of curiosity, do you know how to write in cursive?
I know how to sign my name in cursive, and I can barely write. And I can write a little bit in cursive, but I don't write in cursive on a daily basis. I just sign my name because that's important.
Funny, I always write everything in cursive.
No,
except when they tell me to print.
I use print writing as my main writing because they taught me print writing first, so naturally I just write in print.
I found cursive to be quicker.
It can be quicker, but at this point, even my teachers will look at me a little. But at this point, I would have to get used to writing in cursive again, since I never got in the full habit of writing in cursive, even though it was a standard back when I was in second and third grade.
Yeah, I learned it in second grade, and I've actually been using it ever since, and only print when they tell me to.
All right, well, getting back on topic from the cursive handwriting thing. Oh, there's actually one more thing I want to mention about that. My grandmother's found memes on Facebook of people saying how because they're not all schools are teaching cursive anymore, how cursive is eventually going to become just a secret language for old people.
Hey, editor Alpha DeWolf here. Yeah, we said some stuff, and you guys are not allowed to hear this stuff. And this right here is where the stuff used to be. All right. Now that stuff has been said, back to the show.
Yeah, I think it's important that everyone were to actually learn it. Especially when a lot of fonts on all sorts of different word processors, including Pages and Microsoft Word, a lot of them have cursive fonts.
Yeah, they do.
So, I was just curious because I know you're still in school and such, so I wanted to know if you knew cursive.
Yeah, we do cursive, but nah. But it's no longer a standard.
Yeah, last time I went to school, before the pandemic came in, my English teacher, I kept handing in all of my assignments, and then she told me, "You're the only one who actually writes in cursive." It is so sad how nobody writes in cursive anymore, except me. I'm the weirdo that still does.
Well, one of my great aunts does, and sometimes my grandmother does, though. It's just that cursive. It's just that they teach print handwriting first now, so it just makes more sense to keep printing.
Yep. All right, next topic.
My new stuff that I've gotten recently, besides my Canon camera and my new watches, which I've already shown.
All right, what else did you get?
The first tech product I bought at the used tech market a little over a week ago, and this is a $6 Mighty Mouse that's wired. In 2005.
I like the Mighty. Well, wait, the Mighty Mouse. I've used it once. It took me forever to figure out how to click that thing, but I eventually figured it out. But the one thing I hate about the Mighty Mouse is, well, all the wired ones specifically, I hate the fact that they're wired.
That's why the Magic Mouse, I believe all the Magic Mice are wireless, hence why they're called Magic Mice.
Yeah.
Some Mighty Mice are wired.
Yeah, the crazy thing is schools that use Macs, they still use the Mighty Mouse, even with brand new M1 iMacs. They don't use the included Magic Mouse. They plug Mighty Mouses back into the...
I guess they do that so that way... I guess they do that because they hate the charging of the Magic Mice.
That or... well, then why would they also issue Apple Pencils with iPads?
Because Apple Pencils are actually useful and crucial to education.
I was thinking, well, maybe kids would... I was thinking, well, maybe kids could steal the Magic Mice and such because they're not attached to anything. But then again, why... They hand out Apple Pencils to... So, okay, where's the logic in that then?
Also, kids could just as easily steal iPads.
True. I've known some that have stolen Chromebooks.
Yikes.
Yep.
It's a lot harder. Now at my school, they make you sign out Chromebooks, so it's a lot harder to get... So it's a lot harder to steal Chromebooks.
Oh, nobody ever signed out. Nobody ever did that. Every single time I would open one up, oh, somebody's logged in. I have to log them out because they're too lazy to sign out.
They automatically log out now.
What took them so long?
I guess Google had to do that. The next product I bought was this Airport Express Express 2 router for $20, which does work, though I just need to reset it, though I don't have much of a use for it and I can't truly test it out because my mom doesn't want me messing up her networking equipment because she relies on the internet for her job.
I'll take it.
I don't know where you live, so can't send it, and I really don't want to know where you live.
I've got business addresses. Well, just one business address. But
Well,
um,
what would you use an Airport Express router for if you bought one?
increasing the wireless strength up here.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, the store I went to buy this again at the used tech market, they were selling a whole bunch of airport routers, which meant that a nearby office must have gotten rid of them and upgrade all their routers. And some of them were quite old too. Some were like from '07, I want to say.
Yikes. What the?
And that's my automated litter box
Here.
running in the background. Third thing I bought the
Looks
used.
like I'm gonna have to give my sister a call again.
What?
I'm gonna have to call a sewing expert again because evidently I discovered my pants have a hole in them.
Oh, I usually just buy new pants when that happens. And I just bought some new shorts recently.
I'm too cheap.
Well, it's good
I'm
to
too
sew.
cheap.
It's good to sew your clothing rather than buy new stuff. But I actually bought some new clothing yesterday. In fact, I'm wearing some new shorts. And for one of the first times ever, I'm actually wearing one that uses a belt to hook instead of a drawstring.
I hate jeans. And yet I'm forced to wear them at work.
Huh, that's funny. Usually jeans aren't allowed at work.
They're required at work for durability purposes and such.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, usually jeans aren't considered professional enough for work, though.
When you work in a metal shop, yeah, they're actually quite common.
That makes sense. I personally like the look of blue jeans, especially because I like the look of blue jeans personally, but I won't be buying any jeans anytime soon.
I personally really hate them because I find them tight and I can barely put anything in the pockets. That and they are so hard to shop for my size. I'm skinny with long legs. It is impossible to find pants for me. It's another reason why I don't buy pants that often. It's impossible to find them for my size. All right, off of that topic.
The next phone that I got is one that you've seen in my past 3 videos, though tomorrow's video will luckily take a break from that. My
The SE3, the saddest SE upgrade ever.
I bought for $280, and I had the box for it right there, though. Unfortunately,
Is that brand new?
no, it was not brand new. It was used.
Oh, okay.
So, unfortunately, somebody decided to write. Unfortunately, I kind of wish this ran 15, but this runs iOS 16.1.2 and is 64 gigs. So, unfortunately, somebody decided to write on the box.
Ah.
Yeah. So, luckily, you don't see the top of my box tower often.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. So, how is the SE3?
It's actually not bad. It's actually not a bad phone for a collection, but it can never be my main phone since it's so outdated. And even the camera quality and the camera is garbage.
I looked at that and I felt like I was brought all the way back to 2016.
Like you looked at my video of this?
Yeah, all those videos I watched with the SE3, I keep getting brought back to 2016.
Same here.
And I have to admit, iOS looks really bad on the old home button designed iPhones.
I don't think it looks bad, but I'm used to looking at iOS on old home button iPhones all the time. even older
Meanwhile,
ones most of the time.
meanwhile, I've gotten so used to all-screen iPhones and such that now looking at, uh, well, home button iPhones, iOS, it's just, I mean, it's not horrible, but it's just, it looks weird. It looks like it's trying to conform to something.
Well, again, part of another reason why it doesn't look so unusual for me is because not only do I mess with even older home button iPhones in my collection all the time, but also I transitioned to all screen iPhones a lot later than you did as you upgraded to an all screen iPhone back in June of 2020. I upgraded to an all
Earlier,
screen iPhone.
actually.
What?
Well, actually, my first all-screen phone was my Samsung A50, which I got
But I was talking about your
June
first all
of
screen iPhone.
iPhone. Yeah, that was definitely June of 2020 with the XS Max, the best iPhone ever.
The year month I started uploading consistently to YouTube for good.
Hey, editor Alpha DeWolf here. Yeah, we said some stuff, and you guys are not allowed to hear this stuff. And this right here is where the stuff used to be. All right. Now that stuff has been said, back to the show.
Funny enough, my grandmother was actually watching an episode of, I believe, the last Full House episode on, or the last Full House episode on this podcast, and she even said, "You guys sure argue a lot."
Well, that's kind of what happens a lot on podcasts and different shows. I hear tons of arguments everywhere. That's kind of what a podcast is to me, though. It's where a group of guys get together and just explain their opinions on things. And they're not always going to agree about everything, so there's going to be arguments every now and then.
Like, for example, on what's the best smartphone ever made, which I've never used
I'm
10s
holding it
Max,
right
so
here.
I can't say. Tabby strongly disagrees.
No, he does.
He does not
I
want
feel
to
so
discuss.
bad that he had that poor of an experience with them.
I do too. He doesn't want to talk about it when he comes back, though, because we've discussed that. He
Fair
feels that
enough.
we've discussed the topic enough, as he does
Yeah.
like to filter out topics a lot more. Though this is my final recent eBay query with a faulty home button. Phil Focus.
Is that a 4 or a 4S?
This
Because
is a
I
4.
cannot tell the difference between the two.
This is a 4, but this is not just any ordinary iPhone 4. This is one
So
running
what's so
iOS
special
14.
about this one?
This is running iOS 4.2.6. Camera's not focusing. And it's 16
Yeah,
gigabytes,
well, it's
which
coming through fuzzy on my end too.
and this is a 4. And in case you don't know, this is the first ever consumer iOS version to ship on the CDMA iPhone 4 without the SIM card slot.
How many I don't even want to ask how many iPhone 4s you have again, because then you're gonna go all off into the whole collection and such.
I have 4 iPhone 4s, one on each iOS version.
Why do you need that many, especially when you can ship software versions?
I can't go to iOS 4 untethered. That's why I have this. And my other two CMA iPhone 4s can't downgrade untethered. And I've tried untethered downgrades, believe me. And my one GSM iPhone 4 doesn't like to downgrade untethered to iOS 4, so I have to keep it on iOS 5. That's why I need that. And then my iOS 6 iPhone 4 is just my first iPhone 4 that I bought, and then my iOS 7 iPhone 4, that's just one I got randomly, and I did not really want that one. It just sort of came to my collection.
Yeah, I put collecting devices on hold.
Yeah, but if you can see that, you can see this. Yeah, 4.2.6. 16 gigabytes.
Yep.
Yeah. That's why I need 4 iPhone 4s.
I won't be surprised if you buy another one. At that point, I'm like, yep, of course you did.
If I buy another iPhone 4, it's if I buy another iPhone 4, it's either going to be brand new and sealed, which probably won't be, or else it'll be some sort of really really special one that's like maybe on 4.0 or something, or maybe a prototype or something. I don't know.
Who knows? Maybe the prototype that was left at the bar.
That would be so cool to have.
Oh, jeez.
My iPhone 4 on iOS 7. My iPhone 4 on iOS 7. That maybe I should get rid of that one. That one doesn't really serve much of a purpose in my collection. The other are 3 iPhone 4s I'm gonna keep because they do serve, because I do like having those.
All right. Well, are there any other things you got on the list?
Yes. This is one again I really wish Tabby could have been here for, but TIFP is now 1 year old. Or 1 year old.
Oh, I suppose it is.
Yeah, as I upload the first podcast episode on March 14th, 2022. And that was the same day that Tabby and I recorded the first episode, because that's how little we edited back then.
Yep. And now I'm the one in charge of that. In fact, I have a little inquiry I need to ask about, because
What is it?
I've looked through back on some of my downloaded files from years ago, and I came across something that I almost completely forgot about. A couple of years ago, I had commissioned some music to be specifically used for one of my channels, but the project ended up falling through and I never got to use that commissioned music. So here's my idea. I need to quickly pull up that window. It's probably not gonna capture it, so let me see. Sound output.
What do you want
Alright,
to use
let's
the music for?
1 sec. So is this call still going through camera? Oh, that's camera. Where's sound? It's not showing me sound. Oh well, I think it's... Can you say something?
Testing 1 2, testing 1 2.
Oh, so you're coming through the HomePod. Oh well, I'll do some magical editing and such. So... Alright, so... I thought about potentially, I don't know. I just had this music sitting around. It's supposed to be an intro slash outro jingle, per se. And I thought about playing that at the beginning and ending of each TIFP episode. And that's because I've got this sitting around. I paid $50 for it, and I don't want it to go to waste.
Why don't you just use it for one of your channels?
I've got no use for it on one of my channels. So,
Well,
all right.
let's hear it.
All right, yeah, here's the file right here.
All right.
All right, let's change it back. So there's the example clip. Unfortunately, I don't think my HomePod did the best job playing it, which
I
is
could
kind of
hear it
strange.
just fine.
But I don't think it showed the full quality of the sound. But
That's
then again, I got these over it, so maybe that was distorting it. But
that's okay. That's quite all right. I could hear it and it sounded really good. I'm totally.
Yeah, I've got a total of 3 versions of that song. One long, one short, one medium. So I found perfect applications for integrating that into TIFP.
Okay, so I'm total. If we ever have to take a break with the podcast and you want to add some music in there, sure. However, I'm not keen on the idea of doing an intro just because I just think that would be overlap over the sound a little too much. But like at the end of the episode, like if we did an end screen for the video version, yeah, I would actually like that. In fact, I should
Well,
probably.
I can control. Well, something that I know you definitely don't do when it comes to editing videos. I actually control the volume of the music, how loud it
I
actually
do.
plays.
I control it too, but the thing is that I just don't like having background music in my stuff because it still is a decent takeaway from what I mainly do, and also it would get repetitive at every TIFP episode if we had constant, which is hence why I stopped doing background music in my YouTube videos. But yeah,
Well, I wonder, could we experiment with this episode per se?
if I
If
get
not, then I'll.
let's
If you don't want to experiment with this one, then
hang on. I've got an idea. Why don't
let's
we
hear it.
why don't we have a TIFP end screen where we play the music, where we have show one episode of the podcast, one of Alpha's latest video, my latest video on my main channel, and Tabby's latest video. So that way it correlates to all 3 of our main stuff.
I like that actually.
Yeah, I'm not the greatest at photo editing, so I will have to. But I can even match it in Keynote to match the way I make my thumbnails. I used to have a Keynote thing playing at the end.
That's
of
a very interesting idea.
YouTube videos, but I stopped having an end screen because I didn't think my channel really needed it anymore, and also it just added extra time to my videos that was unnecessary.
That's an interesting idea, using that to promote our latest videos. I like that idea.
Though on our podcast, that's not. If you want to use, again, that's just my idea. I know you like to do end screens on your videos, so that could help, but I actually like that idea. Another reason why I stopped doing end screens on my YouTube videos was because something in YouTube Studio screwed up, so they weren't on my default settings, and I never changed them back. But though, just like how my initial end screen matched TIFP Season 1 theme, I'll do this time to make a Season 2, which, speaking of, sometime I'll need to talk with you and Tabby about our plans for Season 3, so that way we can discuss our public plans in our next episode.
Mm-hmm.
Because Season 3, I can't spoil too much because Tabby has to also be there for that.
Yeah. That, and we're currently live. We wouldn't want to spoil everything for you guys.
We can't spoil everything for you guys.
Well, yeah, just an idea. I wanted to throw that out there because I was looking through my old files and I paid $50 for this and I don't even use it. And I thought this would be the perfect place to do it. I personally would have done it with my own podcast, except...
Your own podcast doesn't exist anymore.
Well, it still technically does. It's just there's no uploads to it.
Yeah, it's probably not ever going to come back.
I hope it will someday, but as of right now, I need to find a co-host for that again. But
And right now, the only way you know people on from the tech community is through me. So
that or Talos of Tech, because evidently I've been stealing a handful of his fans. Evidently.
yeah, so it's either you or Talos of Tech, but at least there's a major YouTuber in your tech community. The biggest YouTuber who's in my active tech community is probably Apple Maniac YT.
Well, I discovered that he does watch some of my videos, which I found pretty
Apple Maniac YT.
interesting. Oh no, Drew, Talos of Tech. I've discovered
Oh,
that
I know
he watches some of my videos.
I figured he does. I don't know if I don't know if Mr. Maniac does or not.
I don't know who all watches. I can tell if somebody watched by them leaving a comment per se, but
like that guy who commented that thing on your 2011 MacBook Pro review. You know, he watched the whole thing.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I just got a notification that my camera battery is getting low.
My iPhone battery is probably starting to get low too, so I'm ready to wrap it up and maybe try out the new. And maybe you got the viewers can, if you're watching the video version, you can hear the outro music for the first time.
Yep. Oh, I could play around in motion. Oh, that would get real interesting.
As always, thank you all for tuning in to another episode of TIFP, or the iTunes Fanboy Podcast. As always, I am Teddy from the iTunes Fanboy.
My name is Alpha DeWolf from the Random Alpha.
And we are saying goodbye for now. And hopefully hello to the outro music. Goodbye, everybody.
See ya.